Hello and welcome to another Royal Reviewer live weekly chat talk of the Crown. And I do believe we are on episode 40. Just bear with me 1 second. My battery is running low. What a thing to happen at the start of my chat. I literally just need to go and turn on the plug. Hang on just a second. I usually always plug my computer in, but I forgot to plug it in. So there we go. All is safe. I'm not going to go anywhere. Literally a thing popped up. Battery 7%. I was like, let's turn the plug on. So, as I was saying before a little interruption, episode 40 of Talk of the Crown. My goodness. And of course, it is Saturday, the 19th of January, 2019. There, I got it right. It's 2019. Now, I do hope that the notifications are being sent out, because last week they were not. I think they are, because we already have 174 people in the chat room or watching. So thank you so much for coming to join. Like I say, this is my live weekly chat, 10 o'clock GMT every week. Of course, I will be here next week too. So come and join me. Now, oh my goodness, what a week it's been. I am going to give this week a red fan flap for hot news. Oh, don't we need the heat? The heat of the hot news. I'm palpitating. Oh my God. Other words. What a bumper week it has been. As I said in the title, buckle up. Literally, buckle up. It's been a bumpy week. Now, I'm just going to pop to the chat room to see what all of you guys are saying. And I already know what the hot topics of conversation is going to be. Of course, we've had the road traffic accident that Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, has been involved in. And we also have some news I'll say in inverted commas, on Harry and Meghan and Frogmore Cottage, which we'll get into all later. But I just want to say hello to everyone in the chat room. So hello if you have joined. And yes, people have got their notifications, which is really good. So I'm really happy this week, because last week I had a little moan at YouTube, didn't I? Thank you for all the outfit comments. I really do appreciate them. And hello to everyone wherever you are from. HM the King says it's been a crashing week. Not a smash. Well, it could have been a smashing week. It was a smashing week. Literally. Scott Lauder says, you look amazing tonight. Thank you so much. Arnold Sanders says, Anne is my new favourite royal after she dug at the media. Yes, we will talk about Princess Anne now. So obviously, Anne was at an engagement this week, which I haven't had chance to cover yet because of all the hoo-ha that's been going on. I will get round to that. I do promise. I do promise to bring you more Anne. I know we love Anne. I love her way with words. I really do. It's just delightful. So she was asked, of course, it was the day after the road traffic accident, and she was asked how is her father? How is the Duke of Edinburgh? And she kind of replied going into the engagement, something that was just strange. It was just really weird. Something about, I'm here the same as you are. And I'm thinking didn't even answer the question. It was just completely batting it off entirely, which I absolutely loved, because of course, really, it is kind of none of anyone's business. I know it's big and huge, but it is obviously a personal family matter too. And I think that we do need to respect as well, that it is a personal, private matter as well. You know, the bit that we've seen is public, but behind the scenes, it is also private too. Then on the way out, she was asked again, and she kind of commented, she made this quip about, well, unless anything's happened whilst I've been in here, or rather, nothing's happened while I've been in here, that kind of thing. So she kind of batted off the media. So I can understand why. She's one of your favourite royals, Arnold. Pam G says, looking great as usual, and I am waiting to get all caught up with the real news. Well, we definitely will. Mrs. BSN says, Princess Royal was to the point and cutting. She was. We love Anne. A red girl says, I loved seeing Meghan out and about so much this week, especially at lunch in her jeans. She looked spectacular every time. And the bump! My goodness, the bump! Huge! Fat lady, as Peggy said. Oh, I love Peggy. We'll get to Peggy later. I want more Peggy. I want to know more about Peggy. She stole the show. Peggy was the runaway star, I think, this week. I want more Peggy. Artist Victoria says, you need to sell your fans. They can say, I'm a fan of Elliot. Oh, good idea. And you can have your YouTube channel on them. You need to be my merchandiser. Okay, sorry if I'm skipping. Natalie says, did I send Christmas cards to the royals this past year? And have you gotten any response? If so, I was going to. I wrote them all out and I didn't get round to posting them. It was round about the time I was posting out my Patreon Christmas cards. And I just literally never got round to it. So I didn't. But I have seen that Meghan and Harry this week have sent to, I think it was another royal Instagram fan account. I think it was Loopy Crown or something of that nature. And they did send a thank you card. And it was one taken from Australia where it was raining and they had the umbrellas. So I thought that was a really cute, a new card that they were sending out. Yvette says the Duchess's new communications guy looks like a spy. He knows how to handle the situation. Yes, she does have a new member of staff. The post was advertised, so he did apply for the post, and of course he got the post. I do believe he worked for government in handling speech writing and so forth. So he is experienced, and I think what we're seeing is that all of the staff that was kind of moving on with Meghan from the early days, I think, and I said this at the time, I said that I thought they were temporary staff and that they were only ever kind of there just until Meghan could kind of form her own staff, her own court, if we like, if we want to use the old-fashioned terminology. And I think that's what she's been doing. She's been forming her own court and, you know, getting the people that she really wants to work with. Of course, you know, back in the early days, she didn't really know what her direction was going to be. She didn't really know what the role was back in the early days. Now she does, and she's able to know what direction she wants to go in, and she's able to shape that with her staff as well. So I think that's what we're seeing. I think we're seeing Meghan, you know, forming her own role. This is part of her forming her own role. And hopefully he will be a good fit. Julie Miller says, yes, Anne is quite witty and assertive, definitely. Lots of people liking the Anne response. Sorry if I haven't said hello to you. Hello to all people that have joined. Lots of people liking Peggy too. Oh, Astrid, hola. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo está usted? Is that how you say it? I don't know. Buenos dias. Kelly Vernon says, so glad the prince was okay. Definitely. Sorry if I'm skipping a few. Museum Freak says, oh my god, I saw the Dancing Queen video today. It made my day very fun and relaxing. I do apologize. The vocal on it was mine. I recorded it in the shower with a pair of in-ear earphones, you know, the little microphone with your earphones. So I recorded it on an app and I used my shower as the recording booth. So I do apologize for the rather sketchy vocals, but I did think it was rather pertinent for this week, just as a little pick-me-up to the Queen and the Duke. And I do hope that they got to see it somehow. Although I do, yes, they should probably put earplugs in. But that was supposed to be the ending of last week's weekly vlog, and I pulled it for certain issues. But I just decided to put it out anyway because it was pertinent, I think, for this week. Just as a little pick-me-up. I think the mood needed lightening. Christine, yes, when was Meghan wearing jeans? I know I just said I was replying to a question where they mentioned jeans, and then afterwards I was thinking of the engagement, and then afterwards I thought, hang on a minute, she wasn't wearing jeans in the engagement. So if she has been wearing jeans to a lunch, oh, with the man, yes, She was wearing them with the man, with the new communications guy. I do know. There we go. I thought I was going crazy then. I thought, where did she wear jeans? She wore them out to lunch when she was meeting with the new communications guy. There we go. So yes, that's when she was wearing her jeans. Nada says, Peggy has become so famous. I love her. I want the Peggy show. I want the Meghan and Peggy show. I want Meghan to meet with Peggy again. I really do. And of course, that was at the Mayhew engagement that Meghan attended this week. And that was a therapause session. How lovely does that sound, therapause? So the dogs were there to obviously help ladies from a care home. And of course, Peggy was one of the ladies from the care home who made the comment, I think, of the year. You're a fat lady, which I loved. It wasn't a diss, of course. It was a cultural reference. That is what people of her culture, and I do believe now it is Jamaican. I think she is Jamaican, and that is what people, particularly of her generation, would say about a blossoming baby bump. And of course, Meghan had a beautiful baby bump on display with that figure-hugging dress. So Peggy wasn't being horrible. She was just saying, you've got a big baby bump and it looks really good. So Peggy was just fantastic. I loved Meghan's response as well, which was she took it all in good humor, and it was definitely meant well. It wasn't anything bad. Oh, we have a super chat donation from Pamela Kuma, $10. Thank you so much. You get a fan flap for the super chat feature donation that YouTube put on. Thank you so much. It really does help. I have actually put aside for all of these donations a fund for trips, and that's trips to go and see aristocratic places, royal places, local royal places, not royal places, but historical places. So any donations I'm going to put into a separate pot and use for the channel for trips and excursions, which of course I will be vlogging. So thank you so much. It really does help. And I think, Wendy, I saw the photographs were on the Daily Mail that I saw. I'm sure I saw them, but I didn't have a chance to include them in a pop-up chat because of all the hoo-ha with Prince Philip. Martin says, I got replies from Kate and Sarah. I sent to them, and usually, as they are your friends. Well, I'm glad you got some responses then, because if you didn't, that would be worrying. Cheryl says, true. They were only temporary, and the other lady left the police force. Exactly. So no drama. This is not a drama channel. There are so many other royal, and I'm going to start calling them drama channels. They are fake news channels, but they are also drama channels. They pick up on all the drama and they put out all the drama in a negative way. They don't actually look at the whole picture and try and, you know, suss things out, which we'll get to in a moment with Harry and Meghan with the Cotswolds property, because I really want to unpick that story, because I have so many doubts in my head and questions about that story. So I'll be talking about all of that later. Carolyn Tubbs has donated $4.99 and says, love you. Thank you so much. Love you too. You get a fan flap. There we go. So thank you so much for your kind donation. Natalia says, do I work outside of YouTube? I did up until July. So I kind of finished my regular employment in July, and I've been doing full-time YouTube since then. So YouTube is my job now, I suppose. But it's still my hobby, really. It's what I like to do. And it's really fun. And of course, those of you who have been with me long enough will know that my previous job was in special needs education. So I come from an educational background, although with special needs children, young adults, shall we say, special needs young adults with special needs and physical disabilities as well. So I just need to fix something on my computer. I have it's loading up something to do with malware, and I think it's probably going to slow my, oh, it wants to scan. No, I do not want to scan. Thank you very much. Take your scan away, because you will slow down my computer. There we go. Okay, I think I fixed it. So yes, I used to work in special needs education. Terry Young says, who is Peggy? Late signing on. Peggy was the elderly lady that called Megan fat, or rather called Megan a fat lady. So yes, we're loving Peggy. Margaret says, didn't Catherine and William do the same thing with their first staff? To be perfectly honest, that was that long ago. And I wasn't following them that closely back then. So I can't remember any kind of staffing changes. But I certainly, it doesn't seem out of place. I mean, if you're kind of going into work and you're kind of coming up with all royal engagements, it's kind of necessary to get staff straight away. So maybe they borrowed staff from Buckingham Palace and whatever, and then over time they kind of form their own staff, and people leave and people come in, and I think that's just a natural way of doing it. And I think that's what we've seen with Meghan, definitely. H.A. Bracken says, Duchess of Sussex should have people that she trusts around her. Exactly. And all of these royal insiders and these people leaking information, I don't believe one single jot of it. There are only a handful of people so close to these royals that would know details of their business, that as soon as anything leaked, the finger of suspicion, this finger, would be pointing straight at them, and they would be found out in an instant. And they would be literally, you know, they sign a confidentiality contract. So they would be sued. They could lose their job. They would be sued. They wouldn't work again. And I think it would be really easy to find out who leaked information. And I see no evidence of that. So I don't think there is any royal insiders. So we'll get to that. Unless, of course, they're being bugged or something. But again, I don't think so. Lynn kind of agrees by saying Meghan has to figure out who she can trust implicitly and make them her inner core and go on from there for sure. Thank you to Sweet Serenity, who says I make you smile. Henry is, oh, rather Glenry. G. Henry. I can't read that. G. Henry Hutchinson has donated $2. Thank you so much. You get a fan flap. You guys are so kind. Thank you so much. In fact, one of the things I want to bring you first in terms of excursions is something kind of local to me, and it's a historic Victorian town, kind of like a working Victorian town. And it's, if you can imagine, this kind of reconstructed from real buildings, Victorian buildings. It's kind of frozen in time in 1901. And there's all kinds of different shops and all kinds of things within this Victorian town. And I really want that, I think, to be my first excursion. So thank you so much. And they do things like old-fashioned fish and chips cooked in beef dripping, and there's got a bakery and an old-fashioned sweets shop and an apothecary, stables and an old candle maker, you know, a poor house and a posh rich house. It's a really good place, and I have been there before, but I want to go there and vlog. So thank you so much. That will help. Southern Lady says there are pictures on Twitter of the Duchess of Sussex at lunch. They are paparazzi photos. Well, there you go. Natalie says, love the Dancing Queen video. It was wonderful. You are more than welcome. G Mark says, don't apologise for your Dancing Queen. It was fantastic. Master of Public Health says, simple, says singing in the shower, lots of laughter. Yes, it makes a really good recording booth, my shower. Jessica says, it was a really great pick-me-up, thanks. Rhonda Malone Blair says, maybe he's going to try and change her image in the press. It does seem that the British press will always need a member of the royal family to be a villain. Well, not on this channel. We don't have any villains, unless, of course, they have actually done something really, really bad. Which, you know, I'm not here to literally blow smoke up their bottoms, to put it bluntly. If a member of the royal family does do something that is negative and horrendous, of course I will be reporting on it. You know, just like the whole Philip with the road traffic accident story, you know, that was a bad incident, but so it's pertinent for me to put it out there. You know, everyone else is talking about it. But I will always, whatever news I put out, it will always be as factual and as truthful and as, you know, independent and non-biased as I can possibly be, because I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't like listening to opinion put out as fact. I don't like listening to, you know, things that are incorrect. I like real, true news. And in fact, you know, there's been certain occasions where I've been watching mainstream news and I've turned it off because I know that what they're putting out there is opinion. They're using, you know, emotive words, sensationalist words, which are designed to bring people over to a different point of view. And I don't like that. So that's not something that I want for this channel ever. Jamie says, check my Twitter, but never mind. Okay, I won't. Sweet Serenity says, ABBA is my favourite group from the 70s and Best of Times disco. Running Late said, Megan looked beautiful at the Centre Ballet event. Oh, the sparkly, glittery dress. Wasn't it divine? Yes, I think, do you know what? I'm going to stick my neck out on the line and say that since she's been pregnant and the bump is bigger, I think she's really rocking the baby bump look. I think her fashion choices are probably, arguably, even better than before she was pregnant. I think she's made some really interesting choices that have really worked. I mean, who can forget the number that she wore, the was it the purple coat with the red dress on inside that looked a bit like the one that Diana wore? And by the way, I disagree with all of these channels and the newspapers that are saying that Meghan was paying homage and tribute to Diana by wearing that outfit. I don't think she was. I honestly don't think it was that contrived. I don't think Meghan's been looking through photographs of Diana and looking through old magazines and thinking, I'm going to emulate that one today. I just don't. I just think it was a coincidence that she wore something that looked similar. I mean, Diana wore so many different colours, so many different styles of dress, that, you know, Catherine or Meghan could wear something that was similar. And then suddenly people are saying that they're paying tribute or paying homage. I don't think she was. I think it was just a coincidence that she wore something that Diana once wore in a similar way. I don't think it was as contrived as trying to pay homage. However, we did see Meghan this week wearing Diana's bracelet, which I did think was rather lovely. And of course, we are going to be seeing over the coming years more and more of Diana's pieces out and about in public, which I can't wait to see. And I can't wait to see what else of Diana's jewellery collection that Meghan has now in her possession. It will be really lovely and a surprise to find them when she does eventually wear them. Okay. T French says you love the PDA that Harry and Meghan displayed at the Royal Albert Hall. Again, any PDA is interesting in my book. Jeannie says, isn't the communications guy for the Cambridges and the Sussexes? It's kind of shared. It is kind of both. But of course, he will be working and meeting with all of them. And of course, that was his meeting with Meghan to discuss whatever it is she wanted to discuss with him about what she is doing and how she wants to be seen and communicated from. Deb says, yes, Peggy is Jamaican, and I love her. Peggy was a delight. She really was this week. Voshawn says, in Jamaica and in Africa, that is a compliment. Meghan seem to understand. I can agree there. Christine says, what have Charles and Camilla been up to? Well, we saw Charles and Camilla last week. They were opening, or rather reopening, a pub that was very close to Burke Hall on the Balmoral estate in Aberdeenshire, in Braemar, actually, to be precise. So Camilla is well over her heavy cold. I do believe that they are probably still up in Scotland at the moment, but it will be interesting to know who is at Sandringham tomorrow at church with the Queen. Perhaps Charles and Camilla have come down to spend, the weekend with the Queen, especially after all what's been happening. I don't know. It will be very interesting to see who is at church tomorrow, to see who's kind of come to Sandringham this week. It will be very interesting. So I can't wait to find out. Nora, don't worry. I'm sure there will be plenty of news about William and Catherine in the upcoming months. Lots of engagements. Hopefully no drama. And yes, Arnold is correct. The new communications guy will also be helping Meghan as a speechwriter. Breakel says, when will I go on trips? Well, hopefully whenever. It's a whenever thing. But certainly when the weather gets better is probably a good time to do more outsidey things like country estates and that kind of thing. I do have quite a lot of country estates, aristocratic estates, where I am in Shropshire, all the way around and about. So there are lots of historical places, but yes, I agree. Some of them are probably better to be seen when the weather is a lot nicer. And lots of them are day trips. Annette says, did anyone see the stupid tabloid video from Meghan's visit to the animal shelter that her knee looks like Princess Charlotte's knee? What? How ridiculous. No, I haven't seen it, and I'm quite glad I haven't, to be perfectly honest. It sounds horrendous. Rhonda Malone Blair says, if the royal family was as dysfunctional and feuding as the press implies, they would self-implode, more than likely. And Natalie says, love how you keep it real. Thank you. And yes, the notifications are working. Woohoo! What is the red fan for? It's my hot news. It's my hot news fan. So yes, we've had plenty of hot news this week. Literally. Sheila says Princess Anne, Prince Harry, and Zara Tyndale are your favourite royals. Don't you mean Zara Tyndall? It's Zara. Yes, and I agree. And I think Anne and Zara definitely share some of the Duke's fire. Some of his let's go with fire. SC1964 says, looking dapper as ever. Thank you so much. It's going up slightly. Tecia Grant received a thank you card from the Sussexes this week. Was it the one with the umbrella in the rain? I haven't seen the knee thing. I need to look out for the knee thing. Laura says, thank God you're doing this full time. Your info is so good and this channel is so supportive of royal lovers. You are more than welcome. Jojo, I did not miss it. I gave G. Henry a fan flap. It's been reported that Meghan writes her own speeches. I think she probably does, and I think she most certainly will have a huge input. But let's not forget that as soon as she takes on more and more charities, more and more work, more and more engagements, potentially where she has to give a speech, that's a lot of speeches. And with the best will in the world, trying to write a really good speech for each and every one is kind of difficult. So I think she's kind of accepted that she may need a little bit of help, but I'm sure that she will have, huge input into them. Martin Gahan says, I watched Kate versus Meghan on Channel 5. I recorded it today. I saw it on. I caught the end where Lady Colin Campbell was saying something. I turned it off and pressed record. So I will be watching that. I have it on record. I will watch it. And hey, I will give my verdict on it at a later date. Just skipping through a few. Okay, Museum Freak says, I heard that Meghan touches her baby bump often in order to impact some love and soothe her baby. All of this nonsense about her touching her baby bump. Stop. stop with the touching the baby bump nonsense in the press and everywhere. It's doing my head in. It really is. Pregnant woman touches her baby bump. My goodness. It's not news. It is not news. It's probably just, imagine, I mean, I can't even imagine, but imagine if you've suddenly got this bump in your tummy and there's, you know, a living baby inside it, moving around and kicking and doing all kinds of things, you know, tugging on your intestines and all whatever babies do when they're in there. A womb with a view. Whatever they're doing inside, you probably just want to touch. I don't, you know, can a baby feel when you're touching? I don't know. Maybe when the baby gets big enough, you know, if you could feel its foot or something, pinch its toes. So yes, maybe it's to do with that. But I just think if you've got something in your tummy that's big and there, then probably naturally you just kind of go towards it, especially if the baby is moving inside. So I just think it's a natural response and people just need to let it be. I'm fed up with all of the, why is Meghan touching her baby bump? It's ridiculous. She's pregnant. You are allowed to touch your own baby bump if you want to. It's so annoying. Master of Public Health says, I salute you for being a former special education teacher professional. It was a very rewarding job. Veronique says, nice brooch, stunning. This one is actually one of my nan's, which I inherited, and it's a butterfly, and it's got little jewels on it over here. You probably can't see. And I did have this discussion once with people on YouTube, and we decided that we think it might be mink, so possibly a mink brooch. And this one is a very small replica of the Duchess of Cambridge brooch, which the Queen wears. The Queen's one is much larger, but that's my little homage to it. Beverly Leck says, I have a 23-year-old special needs son. I'm sure you were wonderful in that role. You have such a kind demeanour. You are more than welcome. At least 50% of the school that I worked at had pupils on the autistic spectrum. So I'm very mindful and intuitive and connected, I think, to those who have autism or an autistic spectrum disorder condition, whichever one you want to say. And yes, I agree. Whatever Meghan wears sells out. Yes, and she does definitely boost the UK fashion industry, as does Catherine, and lots of other royals too. I agree, Arnold. Still don't get it why it bothers people that Meghan holds her own baby bump. Really? I don't get it either. Cheryl says you look very handsome. Thank you so much. Do I think she'll have an American-style baby shower? Who knows? But since she is American, I would definitely probably say yes. I would imagine she probably would in private. We probably won't know much about it. Okay, there is one thing which I do want to talk about, and it is on my list, and no one's mentioned it yet, so I'm going to talk about it. And Arnold Sanders is kind of on the right mark when he says with his question, can you do a show on which properties the Queen owns and which belong to the state? Yes, I can. But I wanted to talk about an article which I read, and I do believe that it was put out there by the Daily Mail, and it was talking about Frogmore and the Cotswolds property. This is the Cotswolds property which photographs were leaked to the media. The newspapers put them out online before anyone else. Then it was all over Instagram and Twitter. I made a video on it commenting because it was already out there. And people were saying at the time about it being a breach of security and all the rest of it. But the story, let me deconstruct this whole article because I have major questions and skepticism about it. So let's start with what the actual story is. So the story is that Meghan and Harry had a 2-year lease on the Cotswolds property, and initially they were going to carry on the 2-year lease even after Frogmore was finished. But now they've gone back on it, and that they're going to finish the lease early and move out of the Cotswolds property in March. And the story goes that there is 2 possible reasons for this. One being that they can't afford the upkeep of 2 properties. And the second one was, what was the second one? The second one was security. That was it. It was security. And that they're going to move out of it in March. So within weeks, they are preparing to move out. Now, I have major issues with this story. So the first one is 2-year leases in the UK are not common. With properties of that size and stature, perhaps maybe they negotiated a 2-year lease. We don't even know that they have negotiated a 2-year lease. Usually 6 months or a year in the UK is more typical. But when they rented it first, if they were expecting to be in Frogmore by the spring, it makes sense to be leaving in March. However, I was under the understanding that the Frogmore property is not going to be ready by the time baby's born, or certainly not by March. We all saw the pictures. It was, boarded up in white sheeting. Something major is going on under there, probably with the roof, which is why it needs the protection. Frogmore is not ready yet. So they are not moving out of the Cotswolds property to move into Frogmore. I mean, even if the building work was completed on Frogmore, they'd still have to do fixtures, fittings, and furnish it and get it ready. So I think we can probably safely say Frogmore is not going to be ready by the time baby's born. So if they are moving out of the Cotswolds property, let's look at reason number 1, money. Well, I don't think it's money. If they were expecting to keep it for 2 years anyway, then the rental is the rental. Secondly, what upkeep? It's a rented property. Any upkeep, any building maintenance is all done by the landlord. The only thing that they would be paying for are the utility bills. So it's not exactly a massive cost. And we know that Meghan came to the royal family with her own independent wealth, estimated at 5 million. I don't know if that's true or not, but estimated at 5 million. Harry has his own personal money. Let's not forget his mother's legacy. So they are a very wealthy, young couple. And I don't think a few utility bills is going to throw them into financial ruin. And of course, they don't have the cost of Frogmore yet because they haven't moved in. So they aren't upkeeping Frogmore and the Cotswolds and Kensington and the cottage in Kensington Palace. So I don't think it's money. I think that is a complete load of nonsense. Of course, they'll be paying for their fixtures and fittings when they move in, but that's to come. So it's not an expense that they're doing at the moment. Secondly, security. Well, yes, those photographs leaked. They were put out there and shared all over the place. So yes, security could have been an issue. However, we know where they live at Kensington Palace. We know where, Camilla's home is, her own independent home, Ray Mill. The royals have lots of homes that aren't, occupied all the time. So I don't think security is an issue. When Harry and Meghan are in residence, the security will be there to protect them. So again, I don't think that's an issue. So that leads me to conclude that I don't think the lease may not have been 2 years. The lease may have only been up until the spring of when they initially thought that they were going to move out and move into Frogmore. But since Frogmore doesn't look like it's ready, I think the lease being up, perhaps the owner has already found a tenant, and maybe they're literally just having to move out because that's when their lease was naturally ending anyway, which is when they thought they were going to be out. So that's what I'm thinking. So I think the reasons are complete rubbish. I don't think it's security. I don't think it's money. I think it's more to do with the fact that this is probably the point when they intended to move out, perhaps when they thought that Frogmore might be nearing completion. So, seeing as Frogmore probably isn't going to be ready, that also means, well, they probably won't have, if this story is true, that they are moving out, and we don't know for sure that it even is, then really they've only got Kensington Palace, and of course any properties that belong to the royal family which they could use as a country property. And I'm sure there are some retreats out there that they could use. So it looks to me very much like they will be London-based by the time that baby is ready to be born, which kind of, again, confirms what I've been suspecting all along, which is Meghan will probably have a Lindo wing birth. So I hope I've kind of deconstructed that story and made it a little bit clearer for you, because even in that article, they didn't even know what reasons they were doing. They put 2 different reasons. If they were so sure, they'd just choose one, or maybe not even include any. So I don't even think that article knew what it was on about. Hopefully I've kind of helped you figure that out a little bit. Annette says, when they move to Frogmore, will they have a small staff, 2 or 3? If anything comes out, they can narrow it down easier. Of course, I believe the tabloids take a double of truth and make it a dabble of truth and make it negative. Again, we don't know about staff. It's likely that they will have a housekeeping assistant, probably someone that works on the grounds as well. I know that once Catherine and William advertised a position for a live-in couple, one to kind of run the house and one to run the grounds. And then, of course, there is the security staff. So I'd imagine it would be something similar to that. Countess Bavaria says, another piece of fakery is a propaganda that Meghan puts out her own PR on YouTube. What? And those of us who are fans get paid. My goodness. Well, no one's paying me. Let's put it that way. Meghan, let's talk. Let's talk some dosh, Meghan. Come on. You know, you give me all your fake news or your real news, and I'll put it out there. No, seriously, that is ludicrous. My goodness. Seriously. Master of Public Health says, correct, royal family employees are under a non-disclosure agreement. Exactly. So all of these leaks, I just don't believe them. I really don't. H.A. Bracken donated $9.99. Keep up the good work. Have fun on your travels. Thank you so much. Sorry, I've only just seen that because I've been ranting about the Harry and Meghan property. Thank you so much. You are so kind. And thank you for all the outfit comments as well, people. Breakel says, agree with the baby bump fashion. She looks amazing and seems to be enjoying it. Jamie says, H.A. Bracken, you've just paid for his fish and chips there. Yes, and maybe a candle. Thank you so much. That was it. It was a purple dress with a red coat. Thank you, Joyce. I was trying to remember the colour combination. You know, when things just escape your brain. Yes. So I don't think she was trying to emulate Diana, is my point. C-Matt says, the source, royal personal, etc., is a liar, and we can't believe anything the source say. I think the source is probably the media themselves. Muriel says, the Queen is looking for a new chef, but no big cannon fired over this. To be a royal chef. Well, I'm definitely not the person to be a royal chef. Not unless the Queen wants microchips for her tea. And just Susan G says she was wearing the colours of one of the charities. Of course. So yes, no homage to Diana. Although the outfit did look very similar, I have to say. No, sorry, I haven't looked into the Bradford Exchange. But I need to, because as you said, there's dolls and jewellery. I need to look. I'm screenshotting again so that I don't forget. There we go. It's been so busy. It's been such a busy week. Scott Goff says, when the media say a source, it basically means they have made it up. I concur. Yvette says it's raining cash in here. Please go to the V&A Museum. With the tiaras. Yes, there are tiaras on display at the V&A. Sheila Bloom says the same has been said of Catherine. They have nothing else to say. Catherine has been wearing Diana's ring every day. Both ladies share Diana's jewels. Lots of people agreeing with the fashion comments. Meghan's pregnancy is definitely not fake. She's not wearing a baby bump, a fake baby bump. Fake news. So fake news. Breakout says, I love the video of Catherine with the children, especially when the children asked about the Queen eating pizza. That's on my list. Yes, so one of the girls said, does the Queen eat pizza? And Catherine went, do you know what? I don't know. I've never seen the Queen eating pizza. Perhaps that's something I can ask. So, does the Queen eat pizza? I don't know. I think I heard that one of the former royal chefs has said that she doesn't, or rather he hadn't made the Queen pizza. Maybe that's something. I'd love to take the Queen a pizza. Can you imagine rocking up with a margarita at the palace? There's me, everyone else dressed nice, and then me turning up with a margarita pizza from Domino's. Yes, I think it has the Queen all over it. Let's go with that. Donna Edwards says, supposedly body language expert Judy James claimed Harry holding out his hand for Meghan to put her hand in his at the charity event was choreographed. I don't think so. Why would they do that? No, Meghan was not offended by the lady calling her a fat lady. Christine says, I wish Meghan or Catherine would wear the sapphire and pearl choker. I want to see that make an appearance. I really do. I agree. Jamie says, Philip will be at the church tomorrow to repent his sins. Maybe he'll be driving the car. Okay, so this is probably a good point to talk about the big news this week, which is the road traffic accident. Now, I've said in my previous pop-up video, so I'm not going to go into all of the details in this video, in this live chat, because I've already made videos about it. Do go and check them out. But I will say that I think everyone involved in that accident is so lucky to have come out of it with what is in effect minor injuries. I know the two ladies in the Kia suffered slightly bigger injuries, but in comparison to what could have been with that accident, I think everyone is very, very lucky, and my thoughts and prayers and feelings go out to all involved in that. So yes, and it's such, I think, a wake-up call about road safety and, of course, seatbelts. Now, as I said earlier, I'm not a drama channel, but also I'm not here to blow smoke up anybody's bottoms. And if anyone makes a supposedly a mistake, I also kind of have to point that out. So the day after the accident, and again, the police are investigating, so we need to let the police come to their conclusions, and then I think we can talk about reasons. I know we've discussed lots about reasons in my other videos, but basically my stance on it is we need to let the police do their own investigation to find out who was at fault and why the accident happened in the first place. Then we can talk about it. So let's park that issue for a moment. But what we do know is we did see Philip out driving. He took a delivery of what appeared to be kind of like a replica replacement vehicle. Possibly it may have come as an existing vehicle held in the Royal Fleet, or it could have come direct from Land Rover. No one knows. But it was almost an identical replacement, and he was seen out driving in it. So just as we suspected, he's one that if he falls off a horse, he gets back up and tries again. And again, no necessarily reason why he shouldn't. The investigation is still ongoing. But people did notice, or rather journalists noticed, that he wasn't wearing his seatbelt. Yes, and the Queen as well was out, and she wasn't wearing a seatbelt. But then she was out today again, and she was wearing a seatbelt. So I think they've kind of come under criticism post the accident for not wearing seatbelts. Now, I think it's important to remember that the Queen herself is the law. She is the law. The law is put out there in her name. So technically, she doesn't have to wear a seatbelt. So she's not breaking any law because she is the law. However, on the royal website, it was pointed out by a royal journalist that it does say that that in private, in her personal situations, she does everything she can to uphold the law. And again, she was seen driving, I believe it was a public road, although the photographs make it kind of hard to see. But she wasn't wearing a seatbelt, and that kind of stirred everyone up into a complete frenzy. And again, I thought to myself instantly, well, you know, maybe it's because of her stature, maybe because being quite short, a seatbelt might cut you up. Maybe she was wearing a lap strap. But then that kind of got out of the window when today she was out driving. And I think the palace had finally heard, because it isn't very good PR after what's happened to then be seen out not wearing your seatbelt, whether it's on private land or public land. So she was wearing a seatbelt today, and you know it was at the correct height. It fitted her perfectly. So I think they've listened. I think the palace has listened and made those changes. Probably that opinion has been put to the royals tactfully, that perhaps it's better to be seen to be wearing a seatbelt, even though maybe she hasn't been wearing it for a long time. We don't know, but certainly now, since the accident, the spotlight is on. So any royal that is seen out and about driving, I think, needs to act sensibly and safely and strap up, buckle up, just buckle up. But it is also important to remember that if those photographs were on private drive, I think the one with Philip where he was driving, I think that was the ones that were released today, said that he was approaching the main gates at Sandringham. Now, it didn't make it clear whether that was approaching the main gates from a public road or approaching the main gates from a private road, i.e. one on their estates. Now, of course, you don't have to wear your seatbelt on private land. So he may not have been breaking any law by driving on private land. Again, I don't know exactly what the road is. It didn't look like it was a public road, I have to say. It looked a very narrow, it looked like a private drive, maybe approaching the gates of Sandringham. Maybe he put the seatbelt on after he left the gates of Sandringham, if indeed he did. We don't know. But my advice would be just buckle up. Just to avoid any bad PR when the eyes of the media are watching, and of course they are. So my advice would be just buckle up. And I've got to remember to drink tonight because I forgot last week entirely. Let me know your thoughts on that one. Annette says, Zara is so open in her PDA compared to Princess Anne. Maybe there is something to not having your kids saddled with royal titles. Well, again, I think a lot of that is personal choice. And I think I've just lost all my questions. So if I've missed your question, it's because I've been limited to where they are. By the way, 520 watching. Thank you so much for joining in. So if I've missed your question, it was really important. Please retype. Anita says, are all speeches from Meghan and other royals first approved by the Queen? No, not if it's their work for their own charity. Perhaps if it was something to do with the Commonwealth and it was on the Queen's behalf, then the Queen would obviously have a say in that speech. And sometimes the royals do read speeches on behalf of the Queen. Joan says, please do a special on your skincare regimen as you have porcelain skin. Thank you so much. Maybe I will for one of my weekly vlogs. Jason Lewis Young says, do you think that baby Sussex will ever grow up to become a working royal with Charles's vision of a slimmed down monarchy? Well, for a start, we don't necessarily know that it's a slimmed down vision he has. The only kind of evidence I think we have of that is when they only had the core members on the balcony for that one occasion for the Diamond Jubilee. And he kind of showed the future of the monarchy. So whether or not that involves a really slimmed down monarchy in terms of working royals, we don't know. And let's not forget that it's going to be quite a long time before George and Charlotte and Louis or baby Sussex are of an age to come up to be a working royal. So by then, the landscape may have changed entirely. There may be so much work out there, so many charities, that maybe the work could be spread. But what we don't want to see, I think what Charles wants to avoid is it seeming to be like there's lots of hangers-on. If the work is spread too thinly, it probably wouldn't look good. If there is an abundance of work and they are all full-time working royals, maybe there would be a need for it. But we also have Eugenie and Beatrice in the wings, which I hope that they can be used one day. In terms of baby Sussex, it's going to be a long time before baby Sussex's future is going to be thought of in that regard. And also, we don't know what baby Sussex itself would want to do in the future. So that's just a very long way off, I think. Oh, I know why I've lost all the comments, because it's on top chat and not live chat. There we go. I've changed it. Hang on. And I think I probably missed everything now. Sorry if I've missed literally all the comments. HM the King says, car is new. Photos of it being driven out were from the back of a truck. But was it in transit? Was it in transit from somewhere else? Or was it literally delivered from the Land Rover dealer? Again, I don't think it entirely confirms whether it was or not, but it certainly looked like a new car, a new replacement. Robin says, I'm sick of the body language experts. Sometimes people can portray different things with their body language. HM says, I hope the lady gets a new Kia. That will all be dealt with as part of the insurance. PM Smile says, some may wonder why the prince did not go to hospital until several hours later. Has anyone thought of Ted Kennedy? Just a thought. Well, I think a doctor checked him over at Sandringham upon his return initially from the crash. Then I think he was probably being monitored. And as a precaution, I think they probably felt that it was just precautionary to go to the hospital, get checked out fully, maybe with all the equipment that they've got there, and actually get something, even more official, if it's been done by a hospital doctor rather than just a doctor that comes to your house. I think it looks better in terms of it just looks better that you've been checked over, I think, by a proper in a proper setting with all the equipment that they've got to do scans of bones and all the rest of it. So again, we don't know the extent of the check, but he was checked and his injuries were minor and of no concern. P times 828 says, if he wasn't wearing a seatbelt, it really is a miracle that he wasn't hurt. Again, when I listened to the first responder, Mr. Warren, talking about how he rescued the Duke, he did mention removing a seatbelt. So I'm possibly thinking, I'm leaning more towards the thought that perhaps Philip wasn't wearing a seatbelt, because otherwise Mr. Warren would have said about maybe having to reach over and undo a seatbelt, and he didn't mention it. So I'm perhaps thinking there wasn't a seatbelt. And again, it looks like there was no protection officer involved. Again, we don't know all of the facts. That will be part of the investigation. Okay, I will allow one Markle question. Sanju Pun says, I want to ask something about the Markle family. Don't be angry. What will happen if Samantha Markle releases a scandalous diary called Princess Pushy Sister's Book at birth of the baby? That is entirely up to her. But all I will say is, does Samantha Markle think that is going to help to reconnect the family and heal any wounds? I would just put that question to her. Okay, D. Lee says, I love the explanation about Her Majesty being the law. Well, she is. I mean, all of the law is conducted in her name. She is the law, so therefore she is technically above the law, and the law doesn't technically apply. But she has, of course, said that she will, in person and private, respect the law. Arnold says, it seems you don't use traffic signals a lot in England. Oh, we hate them. Oh, traffic lights. They are so annoying. We like islands. We like road traffic islands. Yes, we definitely like an island. But now they've got, in my town, they've got this thing about putting traffic lights on islands. So we've now got a situation where we've got islands with traffic lights on them. And I hate them. And I hate, like, crossroads and intersections. I hate them. I prefer islands, a free-flowing island. But no, we don't like traffic lights. They hold us up. We're busy Brits. We want to get from place to place. We don't want traffic lights holding us up. How ridiculous. How impertinent of the traffic lights. EAO says, I'm sure the insurance will cover that. I think so. I am just literally skipping a few. Sorry about that. Scott Lauder says, if the Queen intervenes and gives the baby a HRH status, will the announcement be made closer to the due date? I would have thought so. Maybe even when baby has been born, perhaps. Or maybe even when the name is going to be announced. So there's a couple of options, I suppose. But again, the Queen may not intervene at all. And she may just let the natural process take, which of course is that when Charles is king, Harry and Meghan's baby Sussex will be a HRH or a prince and a princess. Ain't that says the James Viscount 7 is always driving a Range Rover at Sandringham and Balmoral. He's like, what for you? No. When you've got private land, if you've got enough land, an estate to be able to drive a car around, if it's your land, you don't need any. There is no age restriction on driving, and I think William and Harry both learned to drive on the royal estates as children before, and teenagers in particular, before they actually went on the roads and took the proper driving tests. So the normal road rules and laws do not apply on private estates because, of course, there isn't that amount of risk like there is on a public road. TGT says, I believe Catherine said she really likes curry. One of them does. I think it was Catherine. I think it was William that's maybe not so sure about curries. I think when they were talking about, on the radio show, they were talking about takeaways. And I believe they did say that they did order some in. And I think Catherine is the one that likes the curries. Okay, I am just scrolling up a few. Kelly Branch says, I could not agree with you more to Annette White. Really nervous about Meghan's family showing up around the baby's birth. I don't think they will. What tiara am I wearing today? It is the Spencer family tiara today. The one that Diana wore for her wedding. Rochelle says, I love the Duchess of Sussex's, the Duchess of Cambridge's answer to the pizza question. She seemed so honest and natural in her interaction with the children. She did indeed. HM the King says, when Charles wants to slim it down, how much weight do they have to lose each? Oh, I don't know. At least a dress size needs to be dropped by all. Charles wants a much slimmer monarchy. Yes, I agree. At least a dress size is my answer. Do we think the baby will be born on the Queen's birthday? Who knows? But I'm still opting for solidly in April. But baby will come when baby's ready. Clay Edwards says, it's a small world. I saw you in Simply Sarah's live cooking show and didn't get a chance to say hello. She's a sweetheart and a great cook. Oh my goodness, yes. Of course, like everyone else, I watch YouTube videos and there are certain channels that I watch. And you already know I've spoken about It's Our Fenwick Live. Favour's channel, do go and check her out. She's a channel that I watch. I watch her videos and I particularly enjoy her weekly vlog and her cruise vlogs. But I also stumbled across this channel about a year ago now, and it's called Simply Sarah. Sarah spelt S-A-R-A. Simply Sarah. And she does cooking. And she's amazing. She cooks from her home. Her husband films her. And she's such a great chef. She really is. And she's a very lovable personality. And you just kind of, when you're watching her, you will her to do well. And since I watched about a year ago, her channel has grown tremendously. She stopped doing videos for a time, or rather stopped showing herself. I think she felt a little bit self-conscious. She was getting quite a lot of negative hate comments. At one point, she stopped all the comments on her videos and she kind of retreated, didn't make videos and didn't show herself. But then she started making videos again, which I was really happy about, showing herself and her personality, which is really warm and friendly. And her channel has just exploded, and I think she's got something like 120 something thousand subscribers now. So do go and check out Simply Sarah. It's her cooking, and I think she's doing a special at the moment on vegan food. I'm not a big fan of veganuary. Don't get me started on veganuary. It's all over the place here in the UK. For goodness sake, eat meat. I know I've offended all the vegetarians. No. I'm not talking about the people who have been vegan or vegetarian for a long time. I'm not talking about you guys. I am talking about the people that just use it as a fad. Veganuary. I'm just being vegan for January. No. No. Just, if you want to do that, do it for a proper lifestyle choice long term. Don't just do it for January. It's all over the place, even in Sainsbury's, veganuary. It's doing my head in. I can't stand it. I really can't. There we go. I've had a little bit of a rant about veganuary. We don't know about the christening yet. The baby's not even born. Let's wait until the baby's born before we start talking about the christening. It would be lovely if the baby was born on the Queen's birthday. I do agree. Rhonda says, I really would enjoy seeing the princesses Eugenie and Beatrice as full-time working royals. I would agree. Yes, in the UK now it is law. You have to have a baby seat in the car. Jamie says, if it was in transit, they would have just driven it. Can't imagine the cost of hiring a truck to bring a car all the way from BP to Sandringham. It depends if they wanted anyone to see it, perhaps. T. Wells says, thank you for such a great job. You are more than welcome. Thank you for watching. Okay, I'm just skipping some of the Markle questions. Rita Brolly says, being an armoured car, minor and of no concern. Yes, well, I mean, we don't know whether it was extra armoured, but it was certainly a sturdy vehicle, shall we say that? Okay, sorry, just skipping through a few. Sorry if I've missed your comment. Midnight Hazel says, I wonder if the people that were in the Kia had a replacement vehicle yet. It depends if, as part of everyone in the UK has to have car insurance. So it depends what their policy was. If their policy, some policies include if you have an accident that you have a replacement vehicle, a kind of like-for-like vehicle, a courtesy car, as we say in the UK. So it would entirely depend upon whether that was part of their insurance, although we don't know behind the scenes if any help or assistance has been given by the royal family to the other party in the Kia. We don't know. I can imagine, especially as we know that the well wishes and some kind of an exchange was given between Philip and the ladies in the Kia. We don't know what help and assistance has been given behind the scenes. That's all I'm saying. Lou Guy says Rhode Islands are so difficult to maneuver. They're not. They're simple. Apart from that one in France, the one that's got 7 lanes. Oh, no, I would never do that one. No, Rhode Islands are perfectly fine as long as everyone sticks to what they're supposed to do on them. Yes, islands equals roundabouts. Joan says, if I ever get to see Meghan at an event, should you curtsy? It is entirely up to you. It is optional. Sorry, I'm skipping Markle comments. Palmer Lee Stevens says, I hate traffic lights and intersections too. That's pretty much what we have here. Roundabouts have been making inroads though. Road traffic islands are so good at keeping the traffic moving. With traffic lights, I'm going to have a rant now about traffic lights. There is always a period in time when nothing is moving. Nothing's moving at all. At least with a road traffic island, there's always a traffic flow. They are so much better. Okay, traffic light rant over. Annette says, what will happen when the cousins George, Charlotte and Louis play with their first cousins, the Sussexes, and they don't have titles? Nothing, because probably to the kids, it probably means absolutely nothing. I don't think they go around, I don't think George goes around saying, Princess Charlotte, would you like to play with me? And Princess Charlotte doesn't go, yes, Prince George, I will go with you. It doesn't work like that. And even at school, they won't be, the other children are not going to be calling them Prince George, Prince Louis, Princess Charlotte. That's not going to happen. It doesn't happen. So it won't make any difference whether they have royal titles or not when they're little at all. Even when they're older, it doesn't. I mean, does it make any difference to Zara? No, I don't think so. I don't think she's bothered. Jill Dog Lover says, why has there been no word of the well-being of the person driving with Prince Philip? Because we don't think there was one now. We think that there wasn't a personal protection officer in the car at the time. And yes, the Emerald Tiara chaos was fake news. Lou Guy says, an island is a cement circle that the flow of traffic goes around to another road. Well, where in my town, the islands are also grass with trees on them and rocks and all kinds of things. Have I watched the wedding DVDs yet? Yes, I have, and it's so amazing to recapture and relive all those amazing moments, especially in Meghan's wedding with the priest, the preacher. My goodness, what a moment that was. Reverend Curry. I was trying to think of his name. Reverend Curry. There we go. Okay, I'm just skipping a few more of the Markle comments. Ain't That says, one of Simply Sarah's videos has over 1 million views. I haven't seen that one. I'll have to take a look. Jessica watches Simply Sarah as well, and you are correct. She's a joy to watch and is very talented. She is. She's a really good chef. Robin says, I read an excellent article on how yoga is great for pregnant women and squatting is the perfect exercise. Oh my goodness, I'd be so worried, especially late in pregnancy, that if I squatted, baby might just pop. Can you imagine? Oh, I'm doing some exercises and then out shoots baby. Hello world. My goodness, no, I'd be too frightened. I really would. Sam says, I know what you're talking about Veganuary, much like January. Oh, January. I'm going to give January a big fan flap. Do you know what January is? January is when women are ladies are supposed to not shave anything and go au natural. I'm saying no more. January. Ugh. Biz says, I am vegan in my food for years. I have not heard of Veganuary. Well, it's like, I kind of see it a little bit like cultural appropriation. You know, people just trying to be vegan for a month. I mean, I'm not vegan, but I just think it's like, really, just for a month. You may as well not bother if you're going to do it for a month. I just can't be doing with it. Vinny Blair says, titles won't matter. William and Harry are very close to Zara and Peter, who had no title. Also, Eugenie and Beatrice, Honor, Lady Louise and Viscount Severn, no rivalry. I agree entirely. Daphne thinks that people should just let the Fab Four do their thing. I would agree entirely with that as well. Jeannie Gibbs says, Eugenie is pregnant, is going around now. Is that true? I haven't heard it. I haven't heard any hint of Eugenie being pregnant at all. So I'm inclined to say fake. Joan says, you are the highlight of my Saturday. You're on point about everything. Well, thank you so much. Most of it is just logic, applied logic. I don't know why more people don't just apply logic. June says, you think Sarah had a cooking show in the US years ago? I have no idea. Master of Public Health says, so sad that Simply Sarah was being trolled. How do you handle trolls on my channel, particularly about appearance? I don't care, to be perfectly honest. I mean, I had a few trolls really being negative about the video I put out, about the Dancing Queen video, about my vocals. Some people said I sounded horrendous and like a strangled cat and all kinds of things. I don't care. But, you know, that's because I'm quite robust. I suppose I'm a little bit like the Iron Duke in that respect. I'm a little bit water off a duck's back. I don't really care what people say about me. I leave the comments up. I'm not bothered. As far as I'm concerned, it's freedom of speech. If they want to think that, if they want to say that about me, or whatever I look like, wearing tiaras, jewelry, the lot, I'm not bothered. They can say what they want. But I think Sarah took it to heart, and I think, you know, it probably crumpled her for a while. But I'm just really, really glad that she found the confidence to get back on the pony and just go for it and just be herself, because what she's got to realize is she has 120,000 subscribers of people that want to see her. Just the same as I need to remember sometimes that, you know, I've got nearly 74,000 subscribers that want to see me for me. And if you get the odd person that doesn't like you or doesn't like what you're doing or wants to say horrible things, they can say it. You know, I mean, I have had some people that were like really, really bad, which I reported. I hit report. What's it called? Report as hate. You can report something as hate and spam. So I report them as hate and spam, and then I will block their comments on my channel if they're being like really, really bad and really offensive. But in general, if it's just, you know, you look like this, or I hate your voice, or, you know, you look so this, I just leave it up because I don't care, to be quite honest. And if they don't want to watch, they don't have to watch, and I don't want them anyway. So there we go. Juliet says, I love your show, so honest and on track, plus you're a hoot. Well, thank you so much. Okay, people talking about spelling Megan's name right. It's Meghan. It is indeed. Lou Guy says, everyone thinks I'm handsome and charming and well studied. Really? Handsome? Do you need I need a mirror. Mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all? What is my my favorite royal film to watch over and over? Okay, I would say not necessarily my favorite. Not necessarily is a film. It's one that was on TV. It was a TV series, and it was about Queen Elizabeth I, and the lady that played Elizabeth I was something Marie Duff, Anne Marie Duff. And they also had a soundtrack to the TV series, which was composed by Martin Phipps, which I listened to a lot. And I keep watching. The TV series was called The Virgin Queen, and I do watch that a lot. And if you kind of put it all together, it makes like, I don't know, like a 5-hour movie. But I do watch that one a lot. That's my favorite. Scotty Brown says, I research all comments and gives true information and insights. We thank me for bringing you the truth about the royal family and not more gossip, innuendos and fake news. I do try my best. I really do. Robin says, according to Scobie's broadcast, the cover has nothing to do with the roof. It's to prevent view shots from drones. The ongoing work is extensive, fireplaces being replaced, etc. It's hard to tell because when often in the UK buildings are covered up or they have screens, where it is in a royal protection zone anyway. So in terms of drones, there shouldn't be any anyway, although I'm sure that some would probably try and sneak over and get photographs. To be perfectly honest, does it really matter if a drone got a picture of the building with the roof off? We already know what the building looks like. Anyone can go on Google Earth and zoom in on the shape of the building and what's going on. We also know that when Animal Hall was being renovated, we had pictures of Animal Hall, of the roof being replaced, because don't forget, Animal Hall, Catherine and William's country property, had a new roof put on. The old tiles were replaced with brand new clay replacements. So we kind of saw what was going on with renovations anyway. So I don't think it's that. I'm going to have to say, I'm going to go out on a limb and say I would probably disagree. I mean, who knows what is going on under there? It could be something. Maybe they're worried about bad weather. It could even be, I'm thinking more to do with weather protection, because let's face it, if you're in a rush to get a building done by a certain date, and we know that they expected to be in by spring, at this time of the year, we can get snow, we can get rain, we can get torrential downpours, all this kind of stuff, really bad weather, the wind. All of that can slow up a building, especially if the building has the roof off, or things are exposed, or if you're trying to dry foundations or concrete pads, for example, for the new orangeries. I would hazard a guess that the real reason for the screening is probably to do with weather protection, so that work can be carried on all the time, that everything is kind of is weatherproof, and it will help to speed things up, hopefully to get in time. But again, I don't think they are going to be in by the time baby is born. So I'm thinking it's more to do with weather protection than visual screening, because I don't know any other kind of renovation that's been screened to that kind of scale before in renovations. The only other thing I can think of is the apartment next to William and Catherine's at Kensington Palace. When they were doing work on the roof and clock tower, that had a similar white covering, and again, I think it was to do with weather protection. So I think it's weather protection. I also think, you know, it has the added bonus of being a screen as well. But I would stick my neck out on the line and say it's more to do with weather protection and the practicalities of getting the job done as quickly as possible. There you go. That's my opinion on it. So I'm still skipping a few questions. Lots of Markle questions. Jamie says, an island with trees, rocks and grass here is called Ireland. Yay! You have your own island. The island of Ireland. Bishop Curry, that was it. Bishop, not Reverend. Bishop Curry. How interesting was he? My goodness. Yes, Harry did say he meditates. He said he meditates daily. So there we go. Me and myself says, finally, my husband and my son are sleeping. You can watch me in TV chat from the Netherlands. Did you put sleeping pills in their drinks? Jamie says, that's why you don't have to worry about doing squats. I do squats as part of my new gym regimen, my regime. I did them on Friday and my legs are killing me. Oh, yes, I'm aching all over. Follow my progress on my weekly vlog. Lou Guy says, having babies is a lot more work than that. I've seen instances where they have just popped out. There's this one lady in a car and she's being driven and it pops. There's other instances where someone's coughed or gone to the loo and it's popped out. I've seen it. I've seen it myself. I know it to be true. Joanne says, you are too comical. Chiming in says, laughing at my January face. EAO says, natural beauty, move on. Ladies, get those razors. January is a no-no. Okay, let me know. Or have any of you taken on January? Lots of people talking about January. Joan says, where can I send you a lovely fan? If anybody wants to write to me anything, my PO box link is in the description. Yvette says, the baby is part of her body. Okay to yoga poses while you can. Wendy Williams said the same about Beyonce. Well, there you go. If Beyonce does it, anyone can do it. YouTube says, you're so funny, it takes a whole lot for a baby to pop out. No one has to one has to push. What if you're too posh to push? Lou Guy has donated 279 Canadian dollars. Thank you so much. I almost grabbed him a black one then. Thank you so much for keeping on trying. So I know you're having trouble with the super chat donation. So thank you so much for your donation. It does mean a lot. Lots of people talking about trolls. So I'm going to skip those. JS says, do you think the Queen will abdicate for Charles soon? No. Although there was talk about something about maybe when she's 95, maybe there being a regency invoked. But as I've spoken at length, the rules would have to be changed to allow that to happen. Master of Public Health says, good answer about the trolls. How many? 535 watching. My goodness. Joanne Corn says, you have a lovely voice. Thank you. Oh, I can't stand the sound of my own voice, though. I hate hearing myself back. Jamie says, do I look bothered? I ain't bothered. Yeah, do I look bothered? I ain't bothered. Does this face look bothered? I ain't bothered. That was me. Joanne says, thank you for the job you do and love the tiara. Thank you. It's the Spencer family tiara tonight. Annette says, I didn't know you were singing. You sounded fine. Cheers to you. Well, thank you. Okay. Running Late says, negative insults are now considered as freedom of speech. Well, they kind of are. Hey, unless it is inciting hatred, which is against the law here in the UK, they can say what they want, even if it's an insult, and they are free to say it under freedom of speech. CMAX says, I am really enjoying this live chat. Well, thank you for watching. Okay, I'm just skipping a few. Betty says, well, I think you're amazing because I can clearly see you have a beautiful heart, you care and use wisdom when dealing with people. I try. I do definitely try. Sanju says, why is this dumb Piers Morgan and Susanna Reid didn't stop to talk negative coverage about Meghan on TV over and over while she's in pregnancy, always says she dumps him while dating Harry. I think the whole thing with it's not so much Susanna Reid. I don't think Susanna Reid says too much against Meghan. I think Piers Morgan has a bit of a bit between his teeth because of he thought, I think, that Meghan kind of didn't speak to him after he met Harry. I think that's where it all stems from. And I think he's kind of, in a very British way, kind of half joking and half having a dig at her. And kind of knowing British humour like I do, it's kind of sometimes a little bit hard to kind of figure out whether he is completely going in for a dig or whether he's kind of half joking. But then if he does do it, it's going to be taken as having a really big dig. I definitely think he has a bit of a bit between his teeth about what happened. So yes, haters gonna hate, I think is what they say. But he has a platform on TV and the bosses are not telling him to stop. Ain't That says, off topic, I know, but is Diana Ross still big in the UK? Well, she's not had a hit for a very long time, but I think she's still quite big amongst her core fans. P times 828 says, Glenda Jackson was the best Elizabeth I. I have seen hers and her performance was good, but I really like Anne-Marie Duff. If you haven't seen Anne-Marie Duff in The Virgin Queen, do go and watch. And there's also a very young Thomas Hardy as well in it. Sanju says, even all tarot readers are talking negative things about Meghan. So sad. Tarot readers just spin something however they want to spin it, as we all know. Artist Victoria says, I was worried that they were removing asbestos. That could also be a concern. We don't know when when the Frogmore Cottage was split into 5 different units. We do not know if any asbestos was installed, or even prior to that, we don't know if any asbestos was internally installed. So there could also be asbestos removal as well. That is a good point to consider. PM Smile says sometimes a bagged home is to do with having it fumigated, but you think probably weather concerns or asbestos removal, old structure and all. I'm inclined to think weather protection, simply to try and get it done as quickly as possible. But again, could be fumigation, could be asbestos, it could be a whole load of things. I don't think the primary one is just to screen it off from view. I think that's a very simplistic view to have of it. It's the one that first probably comes to mind, probably more so because the media want to see what's going on. So their initial reaction is it's because it's to keep us out, it's so we can't see. But I don't think that is the real reason when you compare it to other renovations that have gone on in the royal family. So I think it's more to do with weather protection, possibly fumigation, possibly asbestos removal, all the things that we've discussed tonight. Urbanet says, will Meghan and Harry keep their Kensington cottage after they move to Frogmore? Again, that's something that I am kind of unclear about. With the initial announcement, a lot of royal reporters were kind of hinting at the fact that they were going to give up Kensington Palace altogether. And of course, that's their Nottingham cottage within the grounds of Kensington Palace. I, however, have always felt that it would be kind of inconvenient to give up Nottingham Cottage. Yes, it is commutable to Frogmore, but it is, at least, I think I worked it out once. I did, with traffic, I think it's about an hour and 15 minutes from Frogmore into London. Now, if you're coming in and out, that's quite a big chunk of your day in a car, when necessarily you don't need to. So I'm inclined to think that it probably wouldn't cost that much to keep on Nottingham Cottage as still a London base for when you're doing engagements in London. And then obviously primarily your main home would be the Frogmore Cottage, kind of like Anne Hall was to William and Catherine when they had when they were first married, and their main home was Anne Hall, and they had their big apartment 1A as their London residence. So I still think it's open. I'm still not entirely sure they will be completely moving out, unless, of course, another member of the royal family has been kind of earmarked on Nottingham Cottage, which could be the case. We will have to wait and see on that one, but I think it would be most inconvenient to give it up. Joanne Polonsky has donated $10. Thank you so much to my travel fund. So thank you so much. Ooh, I'll do a better thumb flap than that. There we go, with a noise. Thank you so much for your kind donation. I will be going to that Victorian town. Ain't that says, I'd love to see me cruising on a Harley Davidson in this outfit. My goodness, can you imagine cruising on a Harley Davidson in a tiara? Wow. Lots of people laughing at January. Jamie's doing January. Annette says, they pop out, but you didn't see the habit before they popped. Joyce says, who dubbed the song Dancing Queen for my video? I recorded it on an app, and then I just added the video to the recording. Yvonne was born in January. Oh my goodness. Imagine being born to someone who's doing January. I wouldn't like to be the doctor doing the delivery. Can you imagine? Oh. Joanne Corn says, I have not taken on January and will not ever. Yes. Running late is always close to your razor. What does January mean? It means when a lady does not shave any bits for a whole month of January. hence January. Lauren Walker says, will the royal family be on the balcony at the Queen's birthday with repairs going on? Yes, I do believe so. I believe they will probably time that bit of work for when that isn't happening. How is my weather? It's been trying to snow for the last few days, so the sky is very grey. Cindy Markle says, holy cow, not shaved for a month? No way. The red fan is hot news. My fans are from Amazon. Just type in, I think I just typed in fan, and then they do these. These are wooden ones, and they come in all kinds of colours. Do I have any further news about the rules? I don't think I do. Let me just check to see if we've covered everything. Oh yes, birthdays. It was Sophie Wessex's birthday, the Countess of Wessex's birthday on it's tomorrow, this Sunday coming. So let's wish her a happy birthday. I feel like I'm doing a children's TV show. Let's wish Sophie a happy birthday for Sunday. And it was little Mia Tyndall's birthday, her 5th birthday on Thursday the 17th. That's Thursday just gone. So let's all send Mia Tyndall a very happy birthday. And of course, it was little Princess Michael of Kent's birthday too on Tuesday the 15th, and she was the young old age of 74. So let's give everyone a birthday clap. I felt like I was doing a children's TV show then. There we go. I quite enjoyed that one. I think we've probably spoken about everything on my list. I think. Oh, of course, Catherine's event. We know that she's going to be having a garden at the Chelsea Flower Show. So I always love the Chelsea Flower Show, and I really want to go. In fact, one of the things I would love, they have that day when the royal family and celebrities and all kinds of like press have like a preview day of the Chelsea Flower Show. I have never been. It is something I've always wanted to do. I would love to be invited to that preview day, and I would love to see Catherine's garden. I really would. I love flowers, and I love gardens, as you can tell from my weekly vlog. I love gardening, so I would love to go and see the Chelsea Flower Show this year. And I don't know whether I'm considered, because of having a channel, whether I could go to the preview day or not. I don't know. I don't know whether you have to be invited or whether you can apply. I have no idea. But I would love to go and see Catherine's garden. That would be a real treat, a highlight, I think, of the year. If I could get to do that, that would be amazing. Okay, skipping through a few. Some lady says, I saw a picture of her on her wedding day. Princess Margaret looked beautiful. Princess Margaret was a beauty. She was indeed a stunning lady, and you can see why she got all the attention. You know what I'm saying? Cindy Mark says, don't forget to tell everyone about the deal with Jason when you have 100,000 followers. Yes, he said that when I get 100,000 subscribers, that he may appear in one of my videos. Okay. I'm just skipping through a few. Hang on. Sorry if I'm skipping. I'm just trying to read to see if there's any like literally new questions. Okay. So I'm doing quite a bit of skipping just so I can kind of get down towards where. How are we doing for time? It's a long one tonight. My goodness. Cassie says it would be so nice if Zara and Eugenie could be added to the roster of working royals. I would probably agree. Annette says one site commented that Harry and Meghan cannot have a floating yoga floor because the law will not let it. let them tear the floorboards up because Frogmore is grading. Yes, they wouldn't be allowed to have a floating floor in the main house, but we do know that they are renovating an outbuilding. They may possibly even be having an extension put on, possibly 2 orangeries. I am sure. But then again, why would they need necessarily a floating floor? Floating floors in the UK are normally made for kind of unstable ground that can kind of shift, so it kind of floats. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong floating floor. Do I have any further news on the Royals? Not that I'm aware of. Any updates, of course, I will bring you. Jamie says the train is less than 30 minutes from Paddington to Slough. Well, I guess that's not for Harry and Meghan. I don't think they'll be taking the train. Any word on Prince Philip's health today? No, but we did see him out driving, so his health seems perfectly fine, which was probably the point of him being seen driving. Okay, lots of people talking about Piers Morgan and Meghan. Maya J says, wear the tiara affixed to the bike helmet. I could indeed. Lots of people saying yes to the Harley. Patricia says, do I think baby Sussex, when he gets older, will be able to spend a few weeks in the summer with Doria with security? It's a possibility. It is indeed a possibility. Jamie says, I've never seen a baby with carpet burns. Does if it pops out when you're doing a squat? Lots of people still commenting on January. Yes, I've spoken, Bassani Golf, I've spoken about the financial difficulties, which I've said, if you scroll back in the conversation, was a load of nonsense because they have their own money. Jamie's laughing. When is my birthday? It's the same as Meghan's and the Queen Mother's, the 4th of August. Lots of people wishing happy birthdays to the birthday girls this week. SC1964 says, such fun. Well, I'm glad you are enjoying it. What is a what? A ferruietti? I have no idea what a ferruietti is. I can't even pronounce it. Let's have a look. People laughing. Yes, it is a bit like Blue Peter doing. No, I'm thinking more. You guys probably won't know, but Andy Peters and Philip Schofield in the Broom Cupboard. It's a children's TV show. Well, kind of a presentation show of children's TV shows. Back in my day, back in the 80s, it was called the Broom Cupboard, and they used to read out birthdays. It reminded me of that. It really did. Maybe I could give out a Royal Reviewer badge, like a Blue Peter badge. Annette says, okay, you opened up birthdays. Is it true H&M ignored Catherine's birthday, or weren't they invited to attend? Again, I spoke about this last week, and well, first of all, we don't even know that Catherine was having a birthday party anyway. It's just kind of what we do in the UK to have cake and tea when you have a birthday anyway. So it's likely that Catherine probably did just have a cake and candles and tea and presents and all that business. But whether she had an actual party, who knows? We don't actually know. We don't know whether an invitation was sent out to Harry and Meghan or not. And Harry and Meghan at that point may even have been away doing something of their own and probably weren't even able to attend anyway. So I think, again, that's media trying to kick up a bit of a stink over nothing. Lots of people liking gardening. Elizabeth says, find out about you being able to go. You might be able to as press. You see, I'm really, I don't know. I'm kind of reluctant to, I don't think of myself as press. That's the whole thing. I don't. I kind of see myself, I don't know how I see myself. I think I'm just completely different to everyone out there. You know, I don't work for a newspaper. I don't work for a magazine. I just work for me. I do I do what I want to. I am an independent. I just do what I want to. I'm not in anyone's pocket. I don't have to put out a load of nonsense because I'm expected to. I don't have to put out so many articles a week, or I just do what I want to do, and I don't see myself as press. I don't have a press pass. I'm not invited to anything. I don't get press releases. I get none of that. So I don't see myself as press. So I kind of feel a bit funny about trying to ask to go to things as press. I don't know. Maybe I'm waiting for an invitation to just drop out of the sky, which is not going to happen. So maybe I do need to look into something. But yeah, I don't see myself in the same light as royal correspondence or anything like that. I really don't. I'm just me. I'm just me. I am myself. I am my own special creation. I need Shirley Bassey. I am me. No, I don't see myself in that kind of way. I really don't. A lot of people wishing happy birthday. Oh, drink. Yes, I do need to drink. PM Smile says, work my magic and go to the Chelsea Flower Show. A live chat from there would bring you the highest numbers ever. I would love to. I maybe need to try and look into possibly going to the Chelsea Flower Show. How many is watching now? 504, my goodness. And we've been on for nearly 2 hours. Margaret says, thank you for all your hard work. You are kind-hearted and lovely, and it's a joy to watch you. For the very best of wishes until we see you again. Good evening. I am going to get off in a minute because I know it's late, and I know I've been talking literally for pretty much 2 hours. So I'm going to skip down a few comments. Oh, I think I have actually made it to the bottom. I have actually made it to the bottom. Elizabeth says, you are a correspondent. You need to take yourself more seriously. I just don't see myself in that way. I really don't. And it's like when things happen on the press and the news, the media kind of contact royal correspondents or people that have written books and all that business. And I keep thinking, they probably know less than what I do. Contact me. I can do a video link. But yeah, no, I just don't see myself in that way. Betty says, you're an independent royal reviewer. That's who you are. It's really hard to say what I am because I don't even know myself. Danielle says, January was launched by a British student, Laura Jackson, as a New Year's resolution. What a vile New Year's resolution. I think Laura Jackson needs to be ashamed of herself. I think she really does, truly. And she can keep her hairy body to herself rather sharing it with everyone else. No one wants to see her hairy body. She can keep it. In the US, business cards and a press kit would take care of it. I haven't got them. Bassani says, Elliot got a response from KP, Kensington Palace, to my Christmas card. Well, hey, I'm glad you did. Have I been to any of the YouTube functions? No, I haven't. But I would definitely love to go to Chelsea Flower Show. Joan says, you are a royal to me, so classy. Well, thank you. It's only an accident of birth that I'm not royal. Patricia says, Katie Nicholl knows nothing and she's a royal correspondent. I know she's anti-Meghan. I think I don't like the way some of them turn on, they kind of like, it's kind of like a shark when they sense a little, when they detect a wound with some blood, they kind of pounce. Like they're really, the UK press is really, really good at building people up and then they enjoy knocking them down. It's really tiresome. And like I say, when they see a little bit of a wound, in for the kill they go. People that royal correspondents that are usually so positive, well, kind of positive, about the Queen, for example, since they saw her not wearing the seatbelt, they pounced. I think one of them said, that it's indefensible that she's not wearing it. I just, no, I don't see myself in the same way. I really don't. Elizabeth says, my daughter has a blog and an Instagram and she gets invited to lots of events and openings. See, with other forms of social media, I don't know. I don't like Twitter. Twitter is toxic. So I don't really have a presence on Twitter. I just, I find it really toxic and I don't like it. Instagram, I do have a Royal Reviewer Instagram. You can find it and check it out. It's basically just, random photos. I don't do a lot on there. I haven't got a lot of followers on there, but I do have one. I do have, of course, my Facebook pages where I basically post my videos to kind of get people to come to the channel from Facebook. So I do have a Facebook presence, but again, I'm not a big poster on there. I tend to post more in the community section of the YouTube channel if I've got anything really important to tell you guys. I do have, no, I don't have. No, I used to have a Twitter is what I'm trying to say. But like I said, I found it to be incredibly toxic, and I just kind of deleted everything on it. I don't like it. I really don't. So yes, do go and find me on Instagram, Royal Reviewer on Instagram, Royal_Reviewer on Instagram. Beverly Lex says, assert yourself. You handle yourself professionally and are more of a royal correspondent than those reporters. June Cleve says, Omid Scobie is great. He is actually, I do like Omid. As are the arbiters, yes. Some of them are not too bad. I must admit, I do like Omid Scobie. Master of Public Health agrees that Twitter is toxic. Okay, I am now going to leave. It is pretty much almost 2 hours. So if you have enjoyed tonight's chat and you've made it through, then literally well done. Well done for making it through for so long and hearing me Twitter on about everything that's gone on. It has been a really busy royal week. I hope that next week is going to be full of engagements that I can report on. Hopefully no more drama. I don't want to hear any more drama. So if you have enjoyed this live chat, please give it a big old thumbs up. The thumb is kind of there, so do go click it. Also, please make sure you are subscribed to the channel, or else I'll never get to that 100,000. I literally won't. So please make sure you are subscribed. And also, join me next week, live at 10 o'clock GMT British time, where I will be here talking again about the British royal family and lots of other random stuff as well. I don't mind talking about other stuff. So, from me in Shropshire, mwah to you all and good night.